Welcome back to another episode of Toriko Unveiled. Today's episode is very special and took a whole metric crap ton of research. But today, we're gonna scale and determine how powerful is Gourmet Heavenly King, Toriko. Briefly, running through Toriko's life, he was set adrift along with Starjuan's infants to later be born. At some point was found by President Ichiryu and raised to manhood. We know from this channel's videos, check those out if you haven't, Toriko along with his twin brother Starjuan are actually the children of the Gourmet god Acacia and god Chef Froze. Along with his adoptive siblings, Toriko has throughout his life encountered and experienced a great deal of combat and strange phenomenon on their planet. As one of the four heavenly kings, Toriko is nicknamed the Glutton for his abnormally large appetite. Basically, a food serving for 500 people would only get Toriko about a tenth of the way full. With his skills having allowed him to discover roughly 2% of the approximately 300,000 varieties of known ingredients in the Toriko world, he's basically introduced around 6,000 different varieties. In order to determine how powerful Toriko is, we'll be scaling throughout his journey, starting at the very beginning with his fated meeting with Chef Komatsu. Born in this instance from Chef and Hunter, we see the ultimate combo, but I think you and the like button would be a better combo. First, we need to examine what are gourmet cells. Gourmet cells are cells with regenerative and strength-enhancing qualities passed down from ancient spirits and or food spirits that allow the user to evolve when they consume delicious foods. An example being the meteor garlic, which has enough nutrients to sustain a normal human being like Komatsu for days and leave him more jacked than Toriko. Cells can also evolve as a response to harsh new environments, instantly creating adaptations which allow the user to survive and can also initiate other self-defense mechanisms for the body. Gourmet cells are, in short, the reason all Toriko characters can and will reach hacks levels of feats and abilities. In this same tune, due to the Gourmet cell's insatiable hunger, Toriko's calorie intake and consumption is absurdly high, and I'm not talking like just Goku or Luffy levels. As of pretty much the entire series, Toriko can liberally use techniques that cost millions of calories, and keep track of that number, millions. Thanks to food immersion mastery and considering obviously other things like food honor, he's already attained a level of mastery in his calorie intake and outtake that your average human being can't even compare to. Considering the average body weight in America is 171 pounds and accounting for the various elements and components that make up the human body like iron, proteins, fats, calcium, and etc. The average human body is roughly between 155,816 and 125,822 calories, meaning to even launch his most rudimentary attacks like the fort, Toriko's calorie consumption would instantly kill your average human, almost over a dozen times. Now, upon meeting Komatsu, we see Toriko directly at the start of the series being small to mid-building level, as he easily uses a fishing pole made from a 76mm iron bar with elevator wire wrapped around it that had a maximum strength of 40 tons. And Toriko claims he wouldn't have had much trouble hooking a small whale, but in this same encounter he uses this to hook a crawdad fish, which weighed in at 4 tons, and a 5-tailed eagle that attempted to steal his crawdad fish, which weighed in at 1.5 tons, and he brings down both of them with a single swing of the fishing pole. He was easily swinging 5 tons with ease on the first chapter, and scaling this to real-world creatures, Toriko can easily ragdoll an adult African elephant. Also mentioning briefly that Toriko proceeds to cut this fishing pole in half, which is nearly impossible when it comes to just simply cutting iron, and Toriko did it with laser precision. And this is far from the first or last time Toriko outright devastates creatures that weigh several tons. Going on in the Garara Gator arc, Toriko not only has enough time during the Gator's attack to say a prayer of thanks and attack, which was likely faster than anything on our natural planet. He then uses the fork to effortlessly impale and lift the 13-ton creature off the ground cleanly and then decapitate it. Early game Toriko showcases his strength several times before even seeing serious enemies start to appear. After the Garara Gator arc, Toriko goes on to fight the Troll Kongs, destroying the several meter reinforced concrete wall guarding the biotype with relative ease. The Troll Kongs are creatures with capture levels high enough that guns, rocket launchers, and even tanks had no effect on them, and Toriko could have easily killed dozens of them if they had actually been tasty. But he easily subdued even their leader, which would be comparable to a large battalion of soldiers outfitted with missiles, artillery, and, high command support in destructive terms. Toriko in this encounter showed by pounding his chest he can make a sound louder than thunder. thunder clocking in at 120 decibels, with whisper being around 30 decibels. A normal tone conversation is about 60 decibels, and a motorcycle is about 95 decibels when it's, flaring its engine. This all meaning that Toriko could cause immediate hearing damage to your average human being by simply pounding his chest. Now imagine what someone like Zebra can do. With his early story abilities already putting him around the level of some of the most powerful characters in anime with mid-level destructive abilities, I'd rank Toriko as already large building to small city level. And he easily surpasses characters in shows like Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, and honestly, would already be a top contender in most of the other anime worlds. To put it into perspective, if you've seen Dragon Ball Z when Raditz came to Earth, I rank Toriko as several times stronger than Raditz, realistically being stronger than Goku up until the end of the Saiyan arc, as Vegeta and Goku were planet warping to destroying level. I say warping because I question if they actually could have blown up the planet in one quick go, but that's another video. For the next part of this video, I thought I'd explain Toriko's not direct power per se, but his potential in varied situations and durability outside of combat. Due to the constant level ups he receives from eating Willy Wonka level food, Toriko attains a large variety of environmental and bodily adaptations. Moving forward, we see him grow exponentially. In the puffer whale caves, Toriko first shows off his mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are brain cells that react both when a particular action is performed and when it is only observed. In this fashion, Toriko can learn, adapt, and often improvise new techniques and abilities, starting with the human world. In the Troll Kong's habitat, Toriko was attacked by several pit viper-like snakes, each said to be able to kill a grown man with his bite. And we find not only does he have inborn poison antidotes that can neutralize the venom of the toxic snakes, he also has over 70 other antidotes in his body. Again, in the puffer whale caves, we learn Toriko can see in almost virtually pitch black environments, navigating by smell alone, and can hold his breath for long periods underwater. While on the ice continent, Ice Hell, Toriko shows the ability of shivering, where he can vibrate his muscles relieving shock waves of heat, stave off temperatures as cold as -80 below, and even melt thick ice off his body within seconds. Also in Ice Hell with his battle with sous chef Tommy Rod, we see in order to counter Tommy Rod's horde of insects, he can produce an essential oil known as phytoncide that can repel even the onslaught of Tommy's insects. And another one of Toriko's grueling ordeals in the human world was his time in Heavy Hole. Heavy Hole is an environment that has gravity higher than the average space, due to its location closer and closer to the Earth's core. The deeper one goes into Heavy Hole, the harder it is to move as the force of gravity fights against the user's cells. This provides a case of gravity training like Dragon Ball Z characters undergoing the Capsule Corp spaceship. Toriko has to not only learn to counter gravity, but also make the strain on his body lesser as he engages in combat with beasts specialized for these environments. In order to overcome Heavy Hole, Toriko's Gourmet cells vibrated against each other to generate a large amount of energy similar to static electricity, similar to a magnetic charge of a high gravity environment. What could normally be a negative charge they held in Toriko's body is slowly changed to a positive charge. This results in a positive charge standing against a positive charge, which increases the repulsive force in his cells, making the effects of high gravity less pronounced. This, of course, however, consumes a high amount of calories. In the BB Corn arc, we confirm Toriko can withstand heats of 12,000 degrees as he sits on top of volcanic rocks to, cook his popcorn. By the Gourmet cooking arc, we know Starjuan's fire is hotter than 2,500 degrees. In the Ozone arc, Toriko learns how to regulate his breathing in order not to expel carbon dioxide. This breathing method revolutionizes how Toriko expends and holds energy. By preserving as much oxygen as possible in his lungs, Toriko's Gourmet cells significantly lower the total amount of oxygen needed to function, as well as lowering the total amount of oxygen expelled with each breath, thus stabilizing the blood oxygen levels in his arteries, thus resulting in higher energy levels brought from a comparatively smaller amount of oxygen. And this results in high efficiency breathing. Exhalation is also stopped, which contains body heat, moisture, and oxygen, and even allows Toriko to completely eliminate the exhaling of carbon dioxide. Also in the Ozone Herb arc, Toriko collected the Lightning Phoenix's feather, and we see that Toriko can react to a literal lightning bolt. And this was before the Gourmet world. Lightning, which travels at 270,000 miles per hour, casually about 186,000 miles per second. Does that sound familiar? Oh yeah, that's because that's the cell division speed needed to access the back channel. In the Bubble Fruit arc, Toriko underwent various food immersion and food honor training to the point of achieving what I call nirvana, in order to witness and take part in the Bubble Fruit itself. Mastering food, honor, and immersion no longer waste energy on attacks. He learned this advanced art that takes a lifetime in days, showing Toriko has immense mental fortitude and willpower, something already needed to not fold to the enemy genjutsu-like intimidation. And in the Four Beast arc, we see Toriko fight the lion like Four Beast Gao with a capture level of 127, which withstood humanity's greatest conjoined weapons and was handing out Megaton bomb level paw swipes. Toriko dispatches the lion Gao easily, showing a power pretty much on a small continent or country level, considering the comparison to the entire conjoined force of humanity's greatest weapons. From these examples, I'd rank Human World Toriko at the same or around the same level, if not slightly stronger than late game Naruto or One Piece characters, with abilities that border on the strongest available comparisons like Logia type Devil Fruit users or Kekkei Genkai wielders. Toriko's versatility and adaptation factor cannot be understated. He can invent new techniques in the flow of heavy combat and adapt and copy techniques he sees at a faster and faster rate throughout the series. This comes up again when he copied Sunny's intuition, an ability that allows the user to narrow down the best and least straining possible action in a situation and pinpoint the specific weaknesses on an opponent without thinking. This furthering his evolution as he invented the double-arm 50-rin Kuji punch that could avert the force of a waterfall that was moving fast enough to shred mountain-sized creatures and pieces of earth in its path. In terms of damage, Toriko has a healing factor already stronger than most anime characters, from losing chunks of flesh, being burned at high temperatures, and constantly regenerating his skin, bombs, and to having holes stabbed in him. Toriko can overcome most injuries outside of direct dismemberment, taking blows that easily shatter landscapes. With photography, which by the end he doesn't even need anymore, he could heal broken necks or internal body injuries as well. Toriko can exist in environments that, unless specialized for, you die in. This extending to surreal and harsh environments of the Gourmet world as well, and it's even stated that Toriko only needs an hour of sleep every 2 weeks, and his sense of smell is so acute, it can provide accurate information on years of different scents and even dead spirits. Moving on in terms of strength, Toriko has been tossing multi-turn creatures and shattering mountains since basically the start of the series. We'll be talking about in-story Toriko from here on out, as all the adaptations and abilities I've mentioned so far are near obsolete in the Gourmet world, as any faux environment or adaptation made in the human world is not only carried over but scaled to even higher levels. Toriko continues to scale to not only the other 4 Heavenly Kings, each of whom in their own right are kind of planet busters, but each opponent he's faced. Here we get true examples of how powerful Toriko truly is. When first entering the Gourmet world, the group encounter an illusion-using monster that Toriko not only overpowers, but puts under illusion with intimidation and kills from shock, again showing his non-combat prowess, and this was a creature with a capture level of 600, which puts it at nearly 6 times stronger than the 4 beasts that assaulted the human world. While in the domain of the Horse King Heracles, to halt its brood's charge, Toriko delivered a massive series of Kuji punches to the ground that spread earthquakes and destruction dozens of miles around them, possibly hundreds if you consider the size of Horse King Heracles and his territory. In this encounter, we also learned Toriko could survive in a vacuum, as when the Horse King inhaled and absorbed all the oxygen in the area, Toriko didn't die and stood defiant. Once awakening his Gourmet demon, we see Toriko's red demon jet fork reach space, meaning this attack clocks in at over 10,000 miles per hour. Toriko again battles one of the 8 kings in a bout of games with the Monkey King, where he effectively beat a god in arm wrestling. To even be able to stand before the Monkey King, Toriko and the group had to master Imbu and command all 60 trillion cells in their body to move in coordination and act as one. The Monkey King casually does this like second nature, and is a being that casually skips mountains across the planet, can jump into space, and crack continents. But speaking of cells, I'll take a second to go back and talk about Toriko's Gourmet cells, and by extension his Gourmet cell demons, though they're kinda hard to scale. Toriko's blue cell demon came to blows with the Horse King Heracles after Toriko got one-shotted, not only delivering a punch to it, but also launching several attacks that the Horse King had to counter against. Toriko's red and blue demons are shrouded in mystery, the white demon being even more mysterious, as we get zero mention or detail about the white universe outside of it being a counter to the black universe, which is kinda sus. We see red and blue come out of Toriko's body and battle the Gourmet nobles, though I don't feel they were fully resurrected, because they definitely should be capable of beating the Nitro, though thinking about it, the Blue Nitro all were capable of scaling on a battlefield with Jiro and the 8 Kings. All of Toriko's red demon enhanced attacks either scarred the planet or broke out into space. This should be a reminder that once in the Gourmet world, many Toriko characters were planet destroying level, And while Toriko can't manifest white for long, white one-shotted Neo, who tanked a small star's detonation. The demons themselves in their true awakened states all would be comparable to galactic level fighters, as it's stated nearly all the appetite spirits once roamed the universe, killing off other appetites and destroying countless planets. We have seen Toriko stand toe-to-toe with Acacia, and throughout the last few videos, I've stated that this battle, as many others in story Toriko, happened at light speed or beyond light speed level, as users like Starjuin are almost using future sight to predict what will happen next in battle. The level of devastation in this battle was solar system to perhaps large star level, with Acacia being able to easily destroy the planet with a flick of his hand. Like, no understatement. Imagine looking into the sky and you see a fist of divine energy the size of Jupiter. Acacia's attacks would throw off the orbit of a planet well before destroying it. Acacia in his awoken form was several times stronger than God and even the 8 kings. God, putting it simply, ate the fucking moon on his first showing, a feat that required more energy output than the planet's own gravitational energy. And the 8 kings were all easily capable of planet devastating to possibly solar system devastating level capabilities, like piercing, destroying, or leveling the planet and its landscapes. Neo and Acacia, by extension, withstood and neutralized a small star's detonation from Dawn's slime. Now, while the star was small, we will have to at least acknowledge that it was incredibly condensed. So for scale, we'll compare the compressed star at white dwarf level. A white dwarf explosion is estimated at 327,000 degrees, making it 60-ish times hotter than our own sun. Acacia also awakened and escaped the Well King's moon's stomach, which is said to be a boundless black hole connected to the spirit world, meaning Acacia once again displays faster than light level speed. Going further, Acacia also escaped a back channel with a time acceleration of hundreds of thousands of years while fighting beasts with 8 king level capture levels. So I'm gonna already compare this to the hyperbolic time chamber splitting feat that Majin Buu did, so literally he can rip through universes. Now, Toriko punched the same Acacia across the Jupiter-sized planet and caught him directly afterwards, this happening faster than 26,000 miles per hour. Meaning we have to upscale to the size of Jupiter, as it's more comparable to the Toriko Earth and the speed of Toriko's attacks. Jupiter has a diameter of about 44,000 kilometers, that's 88,695 miles, and that's over a third larger than Earth. This will also confirm that the initial gravity on Toriko's planet would be higher, as Jupiter, being the comparison, has a higher gravity. For example, if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, on Jupiter you'd weigh roughly 2.25 times as much, so about 240 pounds. This would likely have multiplied by the conditions of the Gourmet world and the battle they had at hand. So, scaling the diameter of this planet, I say Toriko hit Acacia with a speed and force relative to a shooting star, aka a meteor. And for context, a meteor moves with about 94,000 miles of kinetic energy. My math may be off, and that's why I always say about or estimating, but this is backed up by earlier scans stating that the unsealed Monkey King struck with the force of meteors when fighting the fragment of Neo. For his attacks to launch a awoken Acacia, Toriko had to be hitting harder than the Monkey King, harder than Midoriya, and each of them could cause continental-sized explosions. I'm certain that the attacks delivered in this battle alone were easily planetary scale, as Acacia also left a trail of destruction as he flew across the planet, and Toriko could basically perfectly sync his body with Ogre at the time, thus allowing the full power of Ogre to be released. And like all the other Gourmet Cell demons, Ogre's backstory easily just says he was basically the strongest and was not to be trifled with. With access to things like food luck, his own technique set, and the back channel, in-game Toriko is more than a match for any anime character that's not simply, omnipotent. He has resistances to poisons, pheromones, airborne or biological pathogens, illusions, heat, cold, intense gravity, oxygen deprivation, and countless other adaptations. With near instant speed regeneration, Toriko's body can withstand light speed attacks that hit like meteors or nuclear bombs or stars, these coming from beings like the 8 Kings or Acacia himself, with very few other characters being able to scale to this. He can react to light speed level attacks and lightning, and attacks that even have reality warping effects, cause illusions, and tricks of the minds as powerful as mental techniques in any other fiction. Toriko's attack power and range is already planetary level, and he can sense minor disturbances or threats like the 8 Kings on a planetary-wide scale, along with his own devil sense that allows him to basically comb the entire Earth at once for sense. And in the end of Toriko, with Starju, Akacia, Joey, and several other heavy hitters dying and Midoriya giving his life to restore the planet, Toriko is easily the strongest being on the entire planet. Now stronger than Akacia or Midoriya ever was, and with his awakened appetite, Toriko set off to the stars. Now, to sum it all up, Toriko has resistances to attacks launched at any of the 5 senses, and even the 6th sense like detection and intuition on opponents he's never encountered. Toriko is at least large planet to mid-sized star level, and due to the hacks effects of the Toriko world like Minority World, Food Luck, or Honor, Toriko can ignore some of the harshest scenarios. This leads me to say that Toriko rivals characters of extreme power from other worlds of fiction, like Any Form Goku, Superman, Six Paths Naruto, Nika Nika Awakened Luffy, or any form of Ichigo, you name it. I truly think Toriko and other characters from his universe rival, if not dwarf, the power level of most of the shonen anime. But you guys let me know. Am I exaggerating? Did I get the numbers wrong? Could Toriko's universe easily be defeated by Goku or One Punch Man? I'm not gonna lie, One Punch Man would probably do it, but has this series just not been given the proper time to shine? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for waiting and watching another episode of The Unveiled. It's been a pleasure as always, and of course, we give thanks for the bounty that nature and the universe has provided us.